Another thing you can find at TexasFootball.com is America's favorite segment. It's free money! Free money!
No, it's not.
My college football picks against the spread. We are joined by actual college football expert Ishmael Johnson now. Ishmael, hello.
Hey, what's up?
I feel so bad he had to come in here just for this. Like, he hasn't had to be here the rest of the show.
No.
I want to
be clear. Because you're slandering me, and I appreciate it.
That's what I do.
Ishmael is always invited to be on this show at all times. He is invited to be on the show at all times. He has much better things to do than sit here
and do free money. I know. That's what I was saying.
I know.
Much better things to do than sit here and be free money.
I agree with you. And that's why everyone likes Ish. All right. Last week, nice bounce back week for free money. 5-5. Nice bounce back week. Thanks in large part, actual college football expert Ishmael Johnson.
So upset about that.
Saved me on my UTEP pick. Otherwise, I would have been under 500. So thanks, Ish.
We got that. I got that message in the Slack chat, and I was
wonderful. So wonderful. Appreciate you, Ish. 8 games this week. If you're interested, I'm currently 35-23-3 on the year. Still keeping that 12-game cushion, which is feeling pretty good. Now that we're in week 9, can't blow it down the stretch. Got to stay hungry. Got to stay hungry. As a result, we got 8 games this week, including ones that kick off tonight. What is our first game, Ashley?
Our first game is number 16 SMU at Houston, 6:30 p.m. tonight. SMU favored by 14 on the road.
Which is kind of crazy, right? I mean, I mentioned this earlier. If you had told me before the year, hey, Houston and SMU is going to feature a top 20 team, you'd be like, man, good for Dana Holgerson.
Right. Did really well.
Cooking. Instead, SMU is obviously off to a fantastic start. A lot of this, it sounds like Clayton Tune is going to play for Houston, which is a big advantage for them because he is better than Logan Holgerson. He's better than Bryson Smith. He's their best active quarterback right now. That's a big advantage. There are two major... There's one place that I think is going to be big advantage for SMU, and then one place where they could lose the plot. The place that's the biggest advantage is when they throw the ball. Because their passing offense has been sensational this year. Shane Buechele, James Prochet, Reggie Roberson, their passing attack has been terrific. That is their biggest advantage. And by the way, going up against Houston secondary, that has not been good. Also, their running game, they're going up against one of the worst rushing defenses in the AAC, which is going to be every time SMU has the ball, that's an advantage for SMU. If there's a place that they could lose the plot, it is going to be, and the biggest thing is they've got to make sure they do not give up big running chunk plays to Houston. Houston is going to try to run the ball, and they are pretty good at it generally. When they get the running game going, they're tough to stop. Yeah. And SMU's rush defense has been pretty good, but this is a big challenge for them. I'm going to take SMU. I think SMU covers the 14. I wish it were 13.5 because it feels like they win by exactly 14. Yeah. But
it's not.
I'm going to take SMU minus 14. Probably looking at my feeling is I'm going to push this one.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I don't know what's the quarterback situation exactly because I feel like if it's Clayton Tune, then like they could probably get some garbage time.
I think it's Tune.
Yeah, they think he's back.
So I mean, let
me see.
I feel like Houston closes that gap.
Yeah. Our friend,
but I feel like it's probably a 3-touchdown lead until the fourth quarter or something like that.
Yes, I think you're right. They do say that our Joseph Duarte at the Houston Chronicle is reporting that he is expected to start. Yeah, we'll see.
I might have said, who knows? I might have said something different on Republic of Football because I've been going back and forth on this one.
Yeah, so. They don't. This has been late breaking. He's been really he's been legitimately questionable all week long. So it's kind of 50-50. But if he starts,
it'll be a game time decision.
Yeah, it sounds like it'll be a game time decision. I am going to take SMU minus 14 regardless. What is next, Ashley?
Up next, we have Mississippi State heading down to Kyle Field, 11 a.m. on Saturday. A&M favored at home by 10.
Coming home will do some good for them. They tend, they have this year been better at home than they have been away from there. If you're interested in this kind of thing, the juice has been moving towards A&M. That the money has been going towards A&M, that they think that this is they have the advantage here. And there's plenty of reasons to think this. If you're unfamiliar with Mississippi State, this is a team that is I don't know, there's not really great at anything.
Right.
They run the ball okay. That's probably the place that they're going to be. They're going to be most. They're going to rely on the most. Is they run the ball pretty well. Kylan Hill, their running back, has been very solid. But look, they are basically. It sounds like is Garrett Schrader getting the start in this one? The freshman.
Ooh.
I mean, you're talking about a freshman going into Kyle Field. That is not going to be. That's not going to bode well.
It's not ideal.
Right.
That's not ideal. The other thing is that on the defensive side, this is a team that they have a bad habit of giving up the big pass play. But the problem is for A&M, they have not been a home run hitting squad. They have not, at least in the passing game. When they've broken off the big plays, they've been on the ground. This is a tough one to call. Golly.
No going back on this one.
I
If
know.
Ish says something, you're not allowed to go back on this for a second week in a row. We're marking that down.
I think this game is right at, I think it's a really good line, a 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take A&M.
Question mark.
I'm going to take A&M. I'm going to bite my tongue and do it. Bite my lip and do it. I'm going to take A&M in this one.
I think I took A&M as well.
I don't feel awesome about it because it feels like a 10-point game, and it wouldn't surprise me if they play with their food and they're able to and Mississippi State's able to run the ball effectively and keep the ball away from A&M. But the biggest thing is they have got to stretch the field. If they stretch the field against this Mississippi State secondary, then I think they're gonna roll. So I'm going to take A&M minus 10.
Yeah, no, same thing. I think Mississippi State's not that great against the run, and A&M is best when they can have an option to run the ball, and they're, Kellen Mond's not asked to throw the ball 40 times. So.
Yes, that I totally agree with.
Yeah, all money aside too. That's a big game for A&M that we talked about that earlier this week. They have got to win this game if they need any hope.
They need this one quite badly. What is next, Ashley?
Up next, heading over to Conference USA, Southern Miss heading down to Tepper's favorite Rice Owls, 12 p.m. on Saturday. Southern Miss favored on the road by 10.
Yeah, I've got bad news if you're looking at this and saying, "Oh, it's Tepper's favorite team." I think I'm done with Rice.
Good. I've been telling you to be done since we started that trend.
This is a now. Here is the one thing: if you want to talk yourself into taking Rice in this game. What you do is you say, okay, they're 2-0-1 against the spread at home. They're 2-0-1 at home as a home underdog this year. They are 3-2-1 as an underdog. Right? The last week they were a dog, or they were favored. But Southern Miss is a squad that we know has an offense, and their offense is probably going to score. Yeah. That's something that I think is going to be the big advantage for them is every time they have the ball, their offense is probably going to do some things. And most particularly, there's a huge, glaring, giant red flashing sign that says, "Hey, Southern Miss is going to throw the ball all over Rice." And that's the biggest thing. And one of the things we haven't talked about with Rice is their defensive line basically doesn't get any push. That's a big problem. And they're okay. They're better against the run than they are against the pass. But the biggest thing is that they don't sack the quarterback ever. Like they're 116th in sack rate. That's bad. And if you're going to pressure this Southern Miss, you're going to get the Southern Miss off schedule. You're going to have to pressure them. I don't think they're going to do it. I'm going to take Southern Miss minus 10.
Yeah, probably go with that as well. I just don't. I don't know. Shahan brought up a good point on Republic of Football where you mentioned when's the bottom fall out
for Rice.
Because as much as we've said they've looked improved, and they have been improved, but eventually losing can get to a player, can get to a team, right?
Well, and
and that's where Bloomgren, I guess, comes in to try and hold the ship together, but eventually you got to start wondering.
But here's the other thing: is that you could make. I think you can make if you want to talk yourself into this. I think you can make a real argument that all of their best games have been at home, right? When they didn't embarrass themselves against Wake, that ended up being a pretty decent result.
Yeah,
they've
held their own against basically everybody.
That was at home.
Yeah,
they played Baylor tight at home. They nearly beat Louisiana Tech at home.
Yeah.
If you want to talk yourself into Rice, it's that they're at Rice Stadium.
Yeah.
That said, I just don't. I'm done hitching my wagon to them. I'm gonna take Southern Miss minus 10. What's next, Ashley?
All right, up next, heading over to the Big 12, number 15, Texas Longhorns travel up to Fort Worth to take on TCU, 2:30 p.m. Saturday. Texas favored by 1.
So it's a pick'em, is what it is.
Absolutely.
Which is crazy, because the weird thing is, like, man,
You're looking at number 15 in the nation versus a very, very, very mediocre.
That's the weird thing about this.
Big 12 team.
Now, it's swelled to 2.5, but when I wrote this down, it was at 1, so whatever. We'll be consistent. This is a really... There's a lot of things. It's weird because normally I'm the guy who looks at the advanced metrics. I look at the SP Plus from Bill Connolly. I look at the FEI from Brian Freemo. I look at these things. But then I also watch with my eyeballs. And normally... I can square those two, and I can say, "Oh, okay. Well, Rice is bad. They are bad in the rankings too." I think Texas is actually a decent team, but the computers hate Texas. They think that the underlying aspects of Texas are not very good.
Well, then again, they said something similar last year.
Yes,
right when they were creeping up the rankings. I believe they were like. Roughly like 20th in Bill's and Connolly's S&P Plus. So it was like they were kind of gaming the system a bit with how they were actually performing.
So the weird thing is that Texas's defense has not been good. Right. We've talked about that. But where they've been most not good, the least good, is in the secondary. And does TCU strike you as the kind of team that's going to be able to beat you in the secondary?
Nope.
No.
They're going to be running at... arguably Texas's best players on defense, which is Keandre Coburn and,
in the front. Exactly. Yeah. That is the biggest thing. Now, I'm very interested to see what this Texas offense does against what has still been a good TCU defense. Hasn't been great. It's been a good TCU defense. Yeah. That said, in a pick'em game, I think you just go with the team that's a better team, and I think Texas is a better team. So I'm going to take Texas -1, I guess.
Yeah, no, basically, like, I hope he jumped on this line when TCU was favored.
TCU's favored.
Because at one point, that was not going to happen.
I don't like...
Literally any other TCU defense any other year, but this defense hasn't been that great, and Texas's offense has been basically the thing they've hung their hat on this year.
Yeah, and I don't look at Amon G. Carter as like a big place to go in and
it's not Kyle Field.
It's not that different
it's not
of a place to play.
Yeah, it's not even TCU of a couple years ago.
Right.
Like,
no, yeah, it's really not that full in there.
What is next, Ashley?
Up next, we've got the Mean Green traveling to North Carolina to take on Charlotte, 2:30 p.m. Saturday. UNT favored on the road by 4.
Nope, Charlotte +4. I've already made... I'm sorry.
He's just going to keep it going.
I'm sorry. I was right last week, and I'm going to keep riding this. I'm sorry. North Texas against the spread has been bad.
Yeah.
In fact, let me see if I can find what they have been this year against the spread, because it has not been good. Come on now. Where are you? Hold on. You're listening to live coverage of me looking at this website. Okay. They have been... They are 2-5 against the spread this year. 2-5. And now, and you know, they're 1-2 on the road. They're 0-2 against the spread after a win. I don't know. I'm going to take Charlotte +4, even though I don't think Charlotte's very good. Like that's the weird thing is that like if I were looking at this from a point of view of like, oh, okay, well let's like actually break down the stats and things like that. Yeah. There's a lot of things that favor North Texas in this game. Most notably, if they're able to run basically Charlotte's defense stinks. It's very bad. But the one thing that they do is they get after the quarterback. They're 7th in the nation in sack rate. 7th in the nation in sack rate. That is the biggest thing. And so, look, do I think that North Texas is better than Charlotte? Yeah. I've been burned too many times. We're reaching the point of the year.
He finally learned not to put his hand on the stove.
We're reaching the part of the year where I hold grudges. And I hold a grudge against North Texas because I bought in on them hard. I'm going to take Charlotte +4, even though I think that they're better. North Texas.
I'm going to take North Texas -4 to counter with Charlotte is also 2-5 against the spread.
Ooh.
Oh, no, you're not allowed to change it. We are not changing your pick.
I'm not changing it. No, you can't make
So it's a battle of teams that cannot cover.
I agree with that. What's next, Ashley?
Up next, heading back to the Big 12, Texas Tech at Kansas, 6 p.m. on Saturday. Tech favored on the road by 3.5.
So, again, this comes down to, much like it was last week with Texas, it comes down to what you think of Kansas, right? And obviously, Kansas's most recent result was a very good one. They lost, but it was a very good one. What I'm really interested in is how does the Tech defense show up on the road?
Yeah.
That is going to be, and we hear all the time the defense travels, right? Well, this is the time to prove it because you're going up against a Kansas offense that is moving the ball well. They are playing, they're moving the ball well. That said, the one thing is that that Kansas's defense is quite bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite bad. That should be an advantage for Tech. It is a night game in Lawrence. I don't know if that means anything. But I think Tech wins this game, and if they win this game outright, they probably win by like 7.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to take Tech. I'm going to take Tech plus 3.5.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. I think Kansas's offense is better with Brett Dearman calling plays now. Tech doesn't really stop the run, especially when they have somebody like Puka Williams who can, as we saw last week, have a big game. But I don't think Carter Stanley's going to have the game he did against Texas. We have more evidence to assume that he's not that great of a quarterback, especially on a consistent basis. But it wouldn't surprise me if Puka Williams has about over 130 yards, 100-plus yards rushing. But I think Tech can that's a very low line for Tech. So.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
What's next, Ashley?
Up next, we've got Ish's Bobcats at Arkansas State, 6 p.m. on Saturday. Arkansas State favored by 11.5 at home. Ish, how you feeling about that?
Tyler Vitt starting, which can go
one of two ways.
Yeah. So I can't remember who I picked, honestly, on the Republic of Football, and I probably will switch that pick.
Buddy, what's amazing about this game is that this is the movable object against the resistible force. Because when Texas State has the ball, they are bad. When Arkansas State is on defense, they are also bad. Who is less bad? That is going to be the question. And you know what?
Find out Saturday at 6.
Find out Saturday at 6 in Jonesboro.
You might. Coach Spavital even said, like, you might see Cedric Case in this game, and or Jalen Gibson. Like,
we are now at the point.
No idea what to expect.
And this
from this offense anymore.
is like, okay, I don't want to tell Jake Spavital how to do his job.
Yeah, you do.
I'm now at the point where if you are Texas State, why don't you just try everything? Like, I say you get weird.
Yeah,
get weird offensively.
Why not?
Run the Wildcat with Jalen Gibson.
Bob Stitz, your offensive coordinator, should be getting weird in the first place.
I think they get weird. I think they lose by 10. I'm going to take Texas State plus 11.5 at Arkansas State.
I feel...
It's just so done with Texas State right now.
No. Let's be clear. He's done with their offense.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I'll take Texas State too.
Yeah.
Just because
there you go.
Arkansas
Bobcat
State
faithful.
they can't run the ball, and Texas State's defense is terrible against the run, so they wouldn't be able to exploit that. But they're also incredible at throwing the ball. Yes, which Texas State is better against.
Yes, that's
so.
I think the matchup is actually a decent one.
It's that side of the ball is decent, a decent matchup. But I'll say 10. A 10-point loss is about right.
What's next, Ashley?
All right. Last but definitely not least, we've got La Tech heading over to UTEP, 7 p.m. Saturday. La Tech favored by 21 on the road.
What's all these big spreads against UTEP?
I'm telling you.
I mean, I
you
get
know what
it.
It is? It's free money.
But come on.
It's free
God.
money, guys. It's free money, okay?
UTEP doesn't lose big.
That's the thing. UTEP does not lose big. Like, they are a team. Now, look, everything in this game points to a Louisiana Tech win. And everything in this game points to a Louisiana Tech win by double digits.
Yep.
As it should, yeah.
But not 21.
But not 21. That's a lot. And I think that UTEP is going to be able to keep this thing within about 17.
Yeah.
And as a result, I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in that UTEP, especially coming home. Going to El Paso is a chore. I'm going to take UTEP plus 21. I
Louisiana Tech only beat Grambling State by 6. Like their one blowout win was against UMass.
Yeah.
And that was a 48-point spread. So sure, UMass isn't good either.
Yeah, UMass is very bad.
Yes.
Yeah, no, they beat Rice by 3. Southern Miss by 15.
They don't blow. They don't blow. They
don't blow up. Yeah, they don't. Blow
a team.
Opponents.
Is a team that doesn't blow people out going up against a team that doesn't get blown out.
Come on, now.
With the long, with the long trip too.
Yeah, and a long road trip. Exactly. A long road trip flying into beautiful El Paso. I like UTEP plus 21. So those are my free money picks. I like SMU minus 14 at Houston. I like Texas A&M minus 10 at home against Mississippi State. I like Southern Miss minus 10 at Rice. I like Texas minus 1 at TCU. I like Charlotte plus 4 at home against North Texas. I like Texas Tech -3.5 at Kansas. I like Texas State +11.5 at Arkansas State, and I like UTEP +21 at home against Louisiana Tech.